Good day, friends, and welcome back to Conflicts of the Human Race. Today, I will tell you about the entire story of the Greek War of Independence, 1821-1829. Now buckle up as we begin. For centuries, the Greek people had lived under the shadow of Ottoman rule, their ancient heritage suppressed by foreign dominance. By the early 19th century, a new spirit of nationalism swept through Europe, reaching the Greek communities scattered across the Ottoman Empire. Secret societies began forming, most notably the Philiki, founded in Odessa in 1814. This clandestine organization, led by wealthy Greek merchants, planned to liberate their homeland through coordinated uprising. They recruited members across Greek communities in Constantinople, the Danubian principalities, and the Peloponnese. The society's symbol, featuring a cross and an anchor, became a rallying point for Greek independence. As revolutionary fervor grew, the stage was set for one of the most significant liberation movements of the 19th century. Alexander Ypsilantis, a Phanariot Greek serving as a general in the Russian army, became the chosen leader to spark the revolution. In March 1821, he crossed the Pruth River into the Danubian principalities with a small force, proclaiming the beginning of Greek independence. His sacred battalion, composed of Greek students and intellectuals, marched with banners reading "Liberty or Death." However, Ypsilantis faced immediate challenges. The local Romanian population showed little enthusiasm for his cause, viewing it as a Greek rather than Orthodox Christian liberation movement. Russia, despite employing many Greek officers, officially distanced itself from the uprising to avoid confrontation with the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman authorities quickly mobilized their forces, and Ypsilantis found himself isolated. His expedition, intended to be the spark that would ignite revolution across the Greek world, instead became a desperate flight toward the Austrian border. Though militarily unsuccessful, his bold action sent shockwaves through the Ottoman Empire and inspired Greeks elsewhere to take up arms. While Ypsilantis struggled in the north, the real revolution ignited in the Peloponnese on March 25, 1821. Bishop Germanos of Patras allegedly raised the standard of revolt at the Agia Lavra Monastery, blessing the revolutionary banner and calling upon Greeks to cast off their Ottoman shackles. This date would become Greece's National Independence Day. The uprising spread like wildfire across the Mora as local Greek chieftains, who had long served as Ottoman tax collectors and administrators, turned against their former masters. Theodoros Komnenos Kolokotronis, the legendary Klephtic leader, emerged as the most prominent military commander. His knowledge of guerrilla warfare, honed through years of banditry in the mountains, proved invaluable against Ottoman forces. Greek rebels quickly seized control of key fortresses and towns, catching the Ottoman administration off guard. The revolution's religious character was unmistakable, with Orthodox priests blessing weapons and fighters seeing themselves as modern crusaders reclaiming their Christian homeland. The successful early phase gave momentum to what would become an 8-year struggle for independence. The revolution quickly spread beyond the Peloponnese to the Greek islands, where maritime communities possessed both ships and seafaring expertise crucial for challenging Ottoman naval supremacy. The islands of Hydra, Spetses, and Sara became the backbone of the Greek revolutionary fleet. Wealthy shipowners like the Kountouriotis family of Hydra converted their merchant vessels into warships, creating a formidable naval force. These island Greeks had grown wealthy through trade during the Napoleonic Wars, accumulating both capital and maritime knowledge. Their light, fast ships were perfect for guerrilla warfare at sea, allowing them to outmaneuver the heavier Ottoman vessels. The revolutionary fleet's tactics involved surprise attacks, coastal raids, and disrupting Ottoman supply lines. Fire ships became their signature weapon vessels, loaded with explosives and combustible materials, sailed directly into enemy fleets under cover of darkness. The naval war was crucial because it prevented the Ottomans from easily reinforcing their garrisons by sea and allowed the Greeks to maintain communication between different revolutionary centers. The islanders' contribution transformed what might have been a localized mainland rebellion into a comprehensive war of independence. As news of the Greek uprising spread through Ottoman territories, it triggered brutal reprisals against Greek communities in Constantinople and other major cities. The most shocking occurred on Easter Sunday, April 10, 1821, when Ottoman authorities hanged Ecumenical Patriarch Gregory V from the gates of the Patriarchate. The elderly patriarch had actually condemned the revolution and excommunicated its leaders, but this did not save him from becoming a scapegoat for Ottoman fury. His body was thrown into the Golden Horn, later recovered by Greek sailors, and eventually transporting to Odessa for burial. This martyrdom galvanized European public opinion in favor of the Greek cause. Throughout the empire, innocent Greek merchants, clergy, and intellectuals faced execution or exile. The island of Chios experienced particular horror when Ottoman forces, supplemented by irregular troops, massacred thousands of Greek civilians in retaliation for revolutionary activities. These atrocities, widely reported in European newspapers and immortalized in works like Eugene Delacroix's painting The Massacre at Chios, transformed the Greek struggle from a regional uprising into a cause célèbre across Christian Europe. The Greek naval campaign achieved its most spectacular success through the innovative use of fire ships against the Ottoman fleet. These floating bombs, created by filling merchant vessels with gunpowder, tar, and combustible materials, required extraordinary courage to deploy effectively. A skeleton crew would sail the fire ship toward enemy vessels under cover of darkness, light the fuses, and escape in small boats if possible. Many brave souls perished in these missions, but their sacrifice often destroyed multiple enemy warships. The most famous fire ship attack occurred in June 1822, when Constantine Canaris and his crew destroyed the Ottoman flagship of Nasuzaid Ali Pasha near Chios, killing the admiral and hundreds of sailors. This victory not only eliminated a key Ottoman naval leader, but also demonstrated that Greek ingenuity could overcome superior numbers and firepower. The psychological impact was enormous, as Ottoman sailors began to fear nighttime attacks and avoided anchoring near Greek-controlled waters. These naval victories helped maintain Greek morale during difficult periods and ensured that revolutionary forces could receive supplies and reinforcements from sympathetic sources abroad. By 1822, the Greek Revolution had survived its initial phase and begun establishing rudimentary governmental structures. The First National Assembly convened at Epidaurus in December 1821, bringing together representatives from across revolutionary Greece to draft a constitution and elect a government. Alexandros Mavrocordatos, a Phanariot intellectual educated in Western Europe, became the first president of the provisional government. The assembly faced enormous challenges in unifying diverse regional leaders, island shipowners, Phanariot intellectuals, and Klephtic chieftains under a single authority. Each group brought different visions for independent Greece's future. The constitution they produced reflected Enlightenment ideals, guaranteeing religious freedom and establishing a republican government. However, the reality on the ground remained chaotic, with regional warlords maintaining independent power bases and the central government exercising limited actual authority. Despite these internal divisions, the establishment of governmental institutions impressed European observers and lent legitimacy to the Greek cause. Foreign Philhellenes began arriving to support the struggle, bringing with them money, weapons, and international attention that proved crucial for the revolution's ultimate success. The revolution attracted numerous European volunteers known as Philhellenes, inspired by romantic ideals about ancient Greek civilization and Christian liberation from Muslim rule. The most famous Philhellene was the English poet Lord Byron, who arrived in Greece in 1823, bringing money, supplies, and international celebrity status to the cause. Byron's involvement represented the broader European intellectual movement that viewed the Greek struggle through the lens of classical antiquity and romantic nationalism. He established himself at Missolonghi, attempting to organize and fund Greek forces for an attack on the Ottoman fortress of Lepanto. Other notable Philhellenes included German soldiers, French officers, Italian carbonari, and American sympathizers who saw parallels with their own revolution against Britain. However, many foreign volunteers were disappointed by the reality. They encountered endless factional disputes, primitive conditions, and warfare that bore little resemblance to their romanticized expectations. Some proved valuable military advisors and organizers, while others became burdens on already strained resources. Despite mixed practical results, the Philhellene movement was crucial for maintaining European interest in the Greek cause and providing financial support during critical periods. As the revolution entered its third year, internal divisions among Greek leaders threatened to destroy the independence movement from within. The underlying tensions between different social groups and regions erupted into open civil war in 1823–1824. Kolokotronis and the military chieftains clashed with the government faction led by intellectuals and wealthy islanders. Each side controlled different territories and resources, leading to actual battles between Greek forces, while Ottoman armies remained poised to crush the rebellion. The conflict reflected deeper disagreements about post-independence governance, whether Greece should be ruled by traditional local strongmen or by a centralized government following Western European models. Personal ambitions and regional rivalries exacerbated these ideological differences. The civil war reached its nadir when Kolokotronis was imprisoned by government forces, depriving the revolution of its most capable military leader at a crucial moment. Foreign Philhellenes and supporters watched in dismay as Greeks fought Greeks instead of focusing on their common Ottoman enemy. This internal strife nearly provided the Ottomans with the opportunity to crush the weakened revolutionary movement entirely, and it demonstrated the immense challenges facing any attempt to forge a unified Greek nation from diverse regional communities. Sultan Mahmud II, recognizing that his regular forces were insufficient to crush the Greek rebellion, turned to his powerful vassal, Muhammad Ali of Egypt, for assistance. In 1824, Muhammad Ali's son, Ibrahim Pasha, landed in the Peloponnese with a modern army of 17,000 men, trained by French officers and equipped with contemporary weapons. The Egyptian intervention marked a turning point in the war, as Ibrahim's disciplined forces proved far more effective than previous Ottoman expeditions. His troops were experienced veterans of campaigns in Arabia and the Sudan, accustomed to difficult conditions and innovative tactics. Ibrahim's strategy combined conventional military operations with a systematic campaign to depopulate Greek areas and resettle them with Egyptian and Albanian colonists. This demographic warfare aimed to permanently end Greek resistance by eliminating the Greek population itself. Egyptian forces quickly recaptured key fortresses and towns that had been in Greek hands for years. The Greek irregular forces, so effective against Ottoman troops, found themselves outmatched by Ibrahim's professional army. The Egyptian intervention seemed to spell doom for the independence movement, as one by one, the revolutionary strongholds fell to Ibrahim's relentless advance. The fortress town of Missolonghi became the symbol of Greek resistance against overwhelming odds. Situated on a lagoon in western Greece, this humble fishing town had successfully repelled multiple Ottoman sieges since 1821. When Ibrahim Pasha's forces, supported by Ottoman troops under Rashid Mehmed Pasha, laid siege to Missolonghi in 1825, the defenders knew they faced their greatest test. The siege lasted for nearly a year, with the garrison and civilian population enduring terrible hardships. Food became so scarce that people ate grass, leather, and even mice to survive. The lagoon's shallow waters had been fortified with stakes and barriers, making naval assault difficult. But this same geography trapped the defenders when supply lines were cut. Lord Byron had died in Missolonghi the previous year, making the town a shrine for international supporters of Greek independence. As the siege tightened and ammunition ran low, the defenders faced an impossible choice: surrender and face massacre, or attempt a desperate breakout. The fate of Missolonghi would become one of the war's most celebrated episodes, embodying the Greek spirit of resistance that would ultimately triumph over superior military force. On April 10, 1826, Facing inevitable defeat, the defenders of Missolonghi made their legendary sortie, a desperate attempt to break through enemy lines rather than surrender. In the pre-dawn darkness, the entire population of the town's soldiers, women, children, and elderly attempted to escape through the Ottoman siege lines. The breakout was betrayed, and enemy forces were waiting in ambush. What followed was a massacre, as Ottoman and Egyptian troops cut down the fleeing Greeks in the marshlands surrounding the town. Those who could not escape chose death over captivity, with many blowing themselves up with gunpowder rather than face enslavement. The tragedy of Missolonghi shocked Europe and galvanized international opinion in favor of Greek independence. European newspapers carried detailed accounts of the heroic resistance and tragic end, while artists like Delacroix immortalized the struggle in their paintings. The martyrdom of Missolonghi became a rallying cry for the Greek cause, transforming a military defeat into a moral victory that helped secure international intervention. The town's sacrifice demonstrated that Greeks would choose death before abandoning their fight for freedom, a message that resonated powerfully across Christian Europe. Following the fall of Missolonghi, Ibrahim Pasha's forces seemed unstoppable as they advanced through the Peloponnese, systematically capturing Greek strongholds. The strategic fortress of the Acropolis in Athens, held by Greek forces since 1822, came under siege by Ottoman forces under Rashid Mehmed Pasha. The siege lasted from 1826 to 1827, with the Greek garrison gradually weakened by starvation and disease. The symbolic importance of Athens made this siege particularly significant. The cradle of democracy and philosophy was once again under attack by foreign forces. Meanwhile, Ibrahim's systematic devastation of the Mora continued, with entire villages burned and populations dispersed. His policy of demographic replacement threatened to permanently end Greek presence in their ancestral homeland. European observers reported that Ibrahim's forces were methodically destroying the economic and social foundations of Greek life. Olive groves, the backbone of the rural economy, were cut down, while survivors fled to the mountains or emigrated to Greek communities abroad. By 1827, the revolution seemed on the verge of complete collapse, with only a few isolated strongholds remaining in Greek hands. The independence movement desperately needed international intervention to survive this darkest hour. European public opinion, inflamed by reports of massacres and the fall of Missolonghi, pressed their governments to intervene in the Greek crisis. Russia, with its traditional role as protector of Orthodox Christians in the Ottoman Empire, signed the Treaty of London in July 1827 with Britain and France. This agreement called for an immediate ceasefire and Ottoman recognition of Greek autonomy, backed by the threat of naval intervention. The three powers dispatched a combined fleet to Greek waters under British Admiral Edward Codrington, with orders to enforce the ceasefire through a naval blockade. However, the treaty's terms were ambiguous, and local Ottoman commanders, particularly Ibrahim Pasha, showed little inclination to comply with European demands. The Allied fleet, consisting of British, French, and Russian warships, represented the most powerful naval force assembled in the Mediterranean for decades. Their presence fundamentally altered the strategic balance of the Greek war, as Ottoman forces could no longer operate freely at sea or receive uncontested reinforcement. The stage was set for a decisive naval confrontation that would determine whether European intervention would remain diplomatic or become actively military in nature. On October 20, 1827, the Allied fleet under Admiral Codrington sailed into Navarino Bay, where the combined Ottoman-Egyptian fleet lay at anchor. What was intended as a diplomatic demonstration quickly escalated into the largest naval battle of the 19th century. The bay was crowded with Ottoman and Egyptian warships, creating a confined space where superior European naval technology and training would prove decisive. The battle began almost accidentally when an Ottoman ship fired on a British boat attempting to deliver a message. But once commenced, it became a systematic destruction of Ottoman naval power. The Allied ships, with their superior gunnery and disciplined crews, methodically destroyed or captured most of the Ottoman fleet. Admiral Codrington's flagship, HMS Asia, led the British line, while French Admiral de Rigny and Russian Admiral Hayden commanded their respective squadrons with equal effectiveness. The battle lasted 4 hours, ending with the complete destruction of Ottoman and Egyptian naval power in the region. This decisive victory eliminated Ibrahim Pasha's ability to receive reinforcements by sea and marked the effective end of Ottoman hopes to crush the Greek Revolution through military force. The destruction of the Ottoman fleet at Navarino fundamentally changed the war's trajectory, forcing Ibrahim Pasha to evacuate his forces from the Peloponnese by 1828. The French government, under pressure from public opinion, dispatched an expeditionary force under General Nicholas Joseph Mason to ensure Ibrahim's complete withdrawal and restore Greek control over the Mora. This French intervention, known as the Mora Expedition, marked the first direct European military involvement in the Greek War. French troops landed at Petalidi and methodically occupied key positions throughout the peninsula, while their fleet blockaded remaining Ottoman strongholds. The expedition was conducted with diplomatic finesse, as the French avoided direct confrontation with Ibrahim's forces while making their presence felt. Egyptian resistance crumbled in the face of European military pressure, and Ibrahim, recognizing the futility of continuing without naval support, agreed to withdraw to Egypt. The French intervention allowed surviving Greek communities to return to their devastated homes and begin the process of reconstruction. By the end of 1828, the Peloponnese was effectively liberated, though many areas lay in ruins after years of warfare and Ibrahim's systematic destruction campaign. Simultaneously with the French intervention in the Mora, Russia declared war on the Ottoman Empire in April 1828, opening a second front that further weakened Ottoman resistance to Greek independence. The Russo-Turkish War of 1828–1829 saw Russian armies advance through the Balkans toward Constantinople, while their Black Sea fleet dominated Ottoman waters. This conflict, though separate from the Greek War, effectively ended any remaining Ottoman capacity to suppress the Greek Revolution. Sultan Mahmud II found himself fighting for his empire's survival against a major European power while trying to maintain control over rebellious Greek territories. The Russian advance through Bulgaria and toward the Dardanelles threatened the very heart of Ottoman power, forcing the Sultan to concentrate his remaining resources on defending his capital. Russian forces achieved significant victories, capturing key Bulgarian fortresses and advancing to within striking distance of Constantinople itself. This military pressure, combined with the ongoing Greek insurgency and European diplomatic isolation, created an impossible strategic situation for the Ottoman Empire. The Sultan was forced to contemplate peace negotiations that would recognize the reality of Greek independence in exchange for preserving his empire's core territories in Anatolia and the remaining Balkan provinces. By 1829, the combined pressure of Greek resistance, European intervention, and Russian military advances had exhausted Ottoman ability to continue the war. The Treaty of Adrianople, signed between Russia and the Ottoman Empire in September 1829, effectively ended Ottoman resistance to Greek independence. While this treaty primarily addressed Russo-Turkish issues, its provisions for Greek autonomy under Ottoman suzerainty represented the crucial breakthrough that Greek revolutionaries had sought for 8 years. European powers now worked to finalize the details of Greek independence through diplomatic channels rather than continued warfare. Count Ioannis Kapodistrias, a distinguished diplomat who had served as Russian foreign minister, was appointed as the first governor of independent Greece. His return to Greek soil in January 1828 marked the transition from revolutionary struggle to state building. Kapodistrias faced enormous challenges in creating functional institutions from the chaos of 8 years of warfare and civil strife. The country lay in ruins, its population scattered or decimated, its economy destroyed by constant fighting. Regional strongmen still controlled much of the countryside, while foreign powers maintained significant influence over Greek affairs. Despite these difficulties, The appointment of a legitimate government marked the revolution's transformation from armed rebellion to recognized independence. The London Protocol of February 1830 officially recognized Greek independence, though the new state was considerably smaller than revolutionary Greeks had hoped. The great powers, Britain, France, and Russia, determined Greece's borders, limiting the new kingdom to the Peloponnese, central Greece south of a line from Arta to Volos, and the Cycladic Islands. This decision left many Greek populations, particularly in Crete, Cyprus, and Macedonia, under continued Ottoman rule, creating irredentist tensions that would plague Greek foreign policy for generations. The powers also imposed a monarchical system of government despite Greek republican preferences, eventually selecting Prince Otto of Bavaria as the first king of modern Greece in 1832. These limitations reflected European concerns about Russian influence in the Eastern Mediterranean and Ottoman Empire stability, rather than Greek national aspirations. Despite these restrictions, the recognition of Greek independence represented a momentous achievement. The first successful national liberation movement in the Ottoman Empire and a crucial precedent for other Balkan peoples. The Greek Revolution had demonstrated that determined resistance, combined with favorable international circumstances and great power intervention, could successfully challenge Ottoman authority and establish independent nation-states in southeastern Europe. The Greek War of Independence concluded in 1832 with the arrival of King Otto in Nafplio, marking the transition from revolutionary struggle to modern European state. The war had cost enormous human suffering. Historians estimate that the Greek population declined by perhaps 25% through death, displacement, and emigration during the conflict years. Entire regions lay devastated, with agriculture disrupted, commerce destroyed, and traditional social structures shattered. Yet the Greeks had achieved what seemed impossible in 1821, the creation of an independent nation-state from the ruins of Ottoman provincial administration. The revolution's success inspired other nationalist movements throughout the Ottoman Empire and beyond, proving that determined popular resistance could overcome imperial authority when circumstances aligned favorably. The new Greek kingdom faced immense challenges, rebuilding its economy, creating modern institutions, integrating diverse regional cultures, and managing great power interference in its internal affairs. The legacy of the revolution remained complex, as the independent state that emerged was smaller and more dependent on foreign powers than the revolutionary leaders had envisioned. Yet it provided the foundation for eventual Greek expansion and the fulfillment of broader national aspirations. If you liked today's story, make sure to check out our other videos on our channel. Have a nice day.